Hi everyone, my name's Groen and I'm here today to present to you about life in the UK and why I chose to study in the UK for my postgraduate undergraduate course. So I went to the University of Nottingham in the UK for about 3 years from 2017 to 2020 doing my Law LLB undergraduate course, and I went to City University in 2020 to 2021 doing the bar vocational studies. So today I'm going to tell you a few tips and tricks of living in the UK to share my experience living in the UK and in general give you a brief idea of what to expect when you go to the UK. So seeing that now that we are in the middle of a pandemic, many things might be different. So I think I'll share my more relevant experiences from the past year because I think it'll be more applicable to all of you. The first thing is traveling to the UK and the pandemic situation in the UK. Currently, it's very much under control because of the high vaccination rates. But of course, when you travel to the UK, remember to pack a few masks, sanitizers, and remember to always social distance and take care of yourself in the UK because even though you've been vaccinated, there's a chance, there's a risk that you might still get the virus. So do remember to pack some masks and hand sanitizers when traveling to the UK and always social distance. At the moment, there's no lockdown restrictions in the UK anymore, so life goes on as normal. But I would highly recommend that you always practice social distancing and wear a mask when moving around the UK. So in general, that's the main thing you have to bring over to the UK this year. The other things you need to remember, of course, is your passport, your relevant important documents, your birth certificate, your IC, your offer letter, your visa. Do remember to pack those in your suitcase when you go. And as usual, always remember to bring a change of clothes depending on the season. Make sure you have clothes for winter, autumn, spring, and summer. Usually what I would do is that I would pack the autumn clothes first because when you travel over in September, that's when autumn starts. So it'll be a bit cold and chilly. So remember to pack enough for traveling to the UK. And usually winter comes around December and January, and spring comes around, I would say, March to April, and summer around May, June, and even July possibly. So last year I studied in London, City University London. So traveling to the UK was not much of a hassle because we were able to use our student visa to pass immigration to get into the UK. But I think now we have to keep in touch with the government and keep up to date with our regulations because there are various guidelines being developed as I speak, and we need to ensure that we are always on top of the current guidelines and restrictions so that traveling will not be a hassle. So do always keep in touch with your local government, with the government, and check the immigration website and the airlines websites even to ensure that you have prepared everything you need before flying over to the UK. So that's more about the preparation of traveling to the UK. Now, once you arrive in the UK, you arrive at Heathrow and the staff is really friendly. All you need to do is just show them your visa and show them what you need in order to pass immigration. And once past immigration, you have to find transport to your accommodation. So depending on where you are based, if you're based outside of London, please do arrange a courier, a van, a taxi to take you to your relevant accommodation or your relevant city. If you live in London, I would say taking an Uber or a taxi would be ideal because of all your heavy luggage, because the tube from Heathrow will be very long-winded. But if you do prefer taking the tube, and it's much cheaper compared to taking a taxi or Uber, do take the tube from the Heathrow terminal to your relevant station. But you have to do all this research before you arrive at the terminal to ensure you have a hassle-free journey. And once you arrived in your accommodation, after completing all the relevant check-in processes, you have to unpack as fast as possible so you can settle down and get ready for the year ahead. For unpacking, my top tip is try to set up your bed first because that's the first thing you will need upon settling down. And try to get your bed ready and try to unpack as much as possible. Unpack the essential items and try to prioritize when you unpack. So that's it about the checking in procedures. Now I'll move on to the tips and tricks of living in the UK. So living in the UK is very different from living in Malaysia because of the people, the culture, the exposure that you will get. I would say the first thing is to try to settle down, get comfortable with your new surroundings, and try to settle all your personal affairs. I'm aware that many undergraduates, when you first arrive, you need to set up a bank account. So I'll put that on top of my to-do list. And then probably you need to get groceries, so you have enough food and fruits, vegetables, etc., and groceries to keep you well fed throughout the year. And the next thing I would say is try to liaise with your university, complete all the relevant registration processes to ensure that you're fully enrolled into the university. After that, I would say try to explore your surroundings. Like try to, if you're uncomfortable traveling very far from where your accommodation is, try to explore the area around, or even go around campus, around your university to walk around. Last year, because of the pandemic, many of us didn't get the opportunity to travel around, but seeing that this year there'll be more in-person classes, although there'll be still online classes, try to take this opportunity to walk around and explore campus. Also try to make new friends, I would say. If you are more comfortable making friends from your own country like Malaysia, try to do so. Or if, like me, you wanted to explore a new culture and you wanted to get to know the people of the UK, try to reach out, try to go out of your comfort zone and try to get to know people from the UK, learn about the culture, their thinking, their mentality, because that's very invaluable. The whole reason why I wanted to study in the UK was because I wanted this new exposure to foreign culture and to expand my horizons. Hence why I decided to study in the UK and try to mingle around the locals more than the international people. And once I did that, I felt that my horizons were broadened. And then I decided to branch out further and to mix with international people to further understand, the mentality, the thought processes of people all around the world. So that's really important, especially in these times with the pandemic and building connections is also really important, and building friendships most importantly. Hence why once you arrive, these are the things you need to do. Now I'll move on to budgeting. So depending on where you live, your budget might vary. I would say a budget in Nottingham might not be the same as a budget in London because of the cost of living. Generally in London, the cost of living is much higher compared to Nottingham, I would say, based on my experience. And I'm aware that cities such as Manchester, I would say Birmingham maybe have a slightly higher cost of living. So do keep that in mind when you're preparing your budgeting. I would say around 20 to 30 pounds to 40 pounds would be a good budget for groceries per week. Sometimes depending on how much you buy and how much you budget, that grocery haul might be able to last you 2 weeks or even longer. So that's really important because you also have to factor in things such as traveling, expenses, books, stationery, some other expenses as well. Just say you want to go out with friends, you want to have a meal, you have to put that into your budget as well. So try to have a reasonable but not over exorbitant budget, because by spending too much, it's also a very hard toll on your bank account. In regards to tricks living in the UK, I would say always meal prep, because meal prep is really important, because some days you'll be more free than others. So try to cook more often and try to prepare your meals in advance. So when you're busy and you don't have time to cook, you already have a meal ready for you and you can just eat and then get back to what you have to do. The other thing is laundry. So I think most student accommodation would have a laundry facility. Always check that out and try to do your laundry weekly, but it also depends, and also be very, very cautious about how much each laundry will cost, because you do have to factor that into your budgeting as well. So keep an eye on how much a wash would cost, a drying would cost. That's really important. And you have to ensure that you know how to use the laundry facilities, because it's very important for you to do your laundry every week so you have enough clothes to last you throughout the week. The next thing I would recommend is doing exercise and sports, because with the pandemic lifted, many social activities can now be carried out. So I would say the best thing to do is probably explore the sports facilities near your region, near your accommodation. I remember in London there were a lot of football cages nearby, so that's a very good facility for you to meet new people, catch up with friends, or even socialize, and also do sports and be healthy. And the difference between the UK and Malaysia is that most of these facilities are well maintained and readily available. So do try to explore and check it out. Or if you want something more scenic or sedentary, maybe take a walk around your area or run. Because in London, that's very much what people do. By walking around and running around London, you explore a lot of areas that you have not seen before, and maybe even find some hidden gems like canals. I would say those are a lot. Those are found a lot in London, and maybe some good food stops as well. So these two are very healthy and very ideal things to do while living in the UK. And as an added bonus, it gives you a great form of exercise as well. Now, my favorite place in the UK is probably London, even though it's very, very expensive because of the vibrancy of life there. And it's a very big city, so there's very, very different points, very, very different views and scenes. And it's always hustling and bustling, so it's very lively city. They've got a very good transportation system as well. The buses run on time and the tube is excellent. Some lines are better than others. So, and it's really easy to commute from one end to another. But then, of course, you have to ensure that you have an Oyster card. And another tip to save money on Oyster card is to get a 16 to 25 rail card. Try to get it for a year or maybe even three years, depending on the length of your course, so that you can tie it in to your Oyster card to get a 1/3 discount off. Do contact the staff at the tube station to help you link your Oyster card and your rail card together. And once you do that, you save a lot on travel, because traveling on the tube is slightly expensive, because it also depends on from what zone you travel, because there's zones 1 to 6, and there's also time slots such as the off-peak and on-peak hours. The peak hours are much more expensive compared to the off-peak. So do keep in mind these fares when you decide to travel. Now, I've also traveled to many different places in the UK, such as Bath, Cambridge, and Edinburgh. I've also been to Birmingham, Wolverhampton, and Warsaw. So, and each place in the UK is very different. I would say Bath is a very posh and very quiet area, very scenic, very artistic, and they have very, very clean buildings made of sandstone. And life there is more calm compared to London, where life is very busy. I've also been to Brighton, where it's more of a seaside town, so life there is more relaxed, and it's more of a holiday town compared to, I would say, Warsaw or Wolverhampton, where it's a smaller city and it's more residential. I've also been to Oxford and Cambridge. Cambridge, I would say, based on my experience, is more of a farm town where there's more farming and it's more countryside compared to Oxford, where it's more city and it's a more upmarket area, I would say. And of course, being the home of the two top universities in the world, Oxford and Cambridge, these two places are a must go. Birmingham, I would say, is more of a shopping area. So if you like to shop, do go to Birmingham, because they've got the Bull Ring, where there's a lot of shopping centers and a lot of brands for you to shop. And I would say Manchester as well. I've been there. Forgot to mention that earlier. It's a city with a lot of buildings in brick due to the types of bricks they decided to build with, and it's a slightly more modern city compared to, I would say, London, where certain areas are more modern than others. I've also been to Edinburgh, where it's a mixture of nature, I would say, because it's very green and old buildings. So Edinburgh is also a very different city compared to London. So depending on where you travel, each part of the UK has its own characteristic. and I would advise you to travel as much as you can while being in the UK, because each part of the UK has its own specialty and you have to go explore for yourself. And it's also good to broaden your horizons and to expose yourself to different parts of the world. So I would say do travel around UK when you get the chance. And I would say the best time to travel is probably during your term time holidays, such as the winter break and the Easter break. So for the winter break, you could travel to London because they have a very good Christmas market. Or you could go to the major cities where there's very big Christmas markets being held. There's also Winter Wonderland and Hyde Park in London. That'd be ideal to travel. And during Easter, because it's closer to exams, try to maybe go for one-day trips or shorter trips to ensure that you have enough time to study for your exams in May or June, depending on your university. So that's all I have about traveling. So in terms of studying, I would say try to be always well prepared for classes, because every course, I'm sure they have a certain number of projects, number of coursework that you have to do. Always ensure that you're on top of things. Try to dedicate more of your time to studying, but also do remember to have some time to yourself. Remember to be healthy by doing sports on the weekends, maybe every week, take a run, every few days, go to the gym. That's very important, and especially with lockdown being eased in the UK, many of these facilities are now open and you can go ahead and use them, but always do remember to practice good hygiene and social distancing and wear a mask, because that's very important. And also try to bring hand sanitizer around if you're more comfortable with that. I would say also try to explore the food and restaurants near your area, because that's a good way to meet up with people and to socialize and to explore, the city you're living in. So in London, there's a lot of very fancy, very upmarket restaurants, but there's also affordable restaurants available, and there's also the pubs, many other different places. So do try to go out and explore what they have in offer at your city. Another thing that I will mention in the UK that's very ideal and is much aligned to my hobby is the availability of football. So I've mentioned that football cages and facilities are very readily available, but there's also the greatest league in the world, the Premier League, based in the UK. So if you can, try to get tickets to watch teams you support, like Manchester United, Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea, because they're all based in the big cities. It's a once in a lifetime experience. So do try, if you are passionate or if you want to explore or experience the football atmosphere in the UK, I would say do try to obtain a ticket at one of these games and experience the atmosphere. If you can't get a game in the Premier League, maybe explore a game in the Championship, because that's what I did in Nottingham. And the atmosphere is sometimes as good or if not better than those in the Premier League, and it's more affordable as well. I've been to games in the Emirates. I've been to games in the City Ground in Nottingham, which Nottingham Forest plays in, and those experiences are very invaluable, and it's something that I treasure till today. I've also managed to get tickets to the semi-finals of the Euro 2020 in Wembley, where Spain played Italy, and that was a once-in-a-lifetime experience as well. So I do highly recommend that, if possible, you try to watch sporting events like football in the UK. But of course, it's all up to you. If you prefer theatre, there's West End in London, where they have good plays like Hamilton, Mamma Mia, Phantom of the Opera. If you're more theatre inclined person, do go for that. What else? Because the UK is so diverse, that it caters to many passions such as traveling, theatre, sports. But in the end, it's all up to what you want to do and what you're interested in. But of course, if you want to broaden your horizons, you want to experience something new, try something out of your comfort zone. Like, just if you're interested in football, maybe try theatre. Or if you're a foodie and you want to experience something new, maybe try traveling around. And sometimes these interests might intertwine, because by traveling around, you might get to taste different kinds of food, because each region in the UK has their own specialty. Like in Brighton, they are known for seafood. Edinburgh has good seafood as well. London has good food in terms of many different cultures, Japanese, Chinese, or even modern European. So it's a really good opportunity for you to travel around and to experience what the UK has in store for you, because by going overseas, the most important thing for you is to have a good exposure to the bigger world out there outside of Malaysia, and to learn from this and to develop yourself as a person, your mindset, and how you carry yourself in the future, because all these skills will make you employable once you enter the working industry, and the possibilities for you will be endless. I think all of you should consider yourself very lucky to have this opportunity, for either by scholarship or your parents, to study in the UK, and you should make the most out of it. I wish you all the best of luck in terms of your studies and your travels. Hope you arrive there safe. And for those wanting to study in the UK, trust me, you will not regret it. So do apply to the UK and find a course that you love doing. And I wish you all the best in the future. Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed my presentation on studying in the UK.